I'm in the woods right now, both metaphorically and literally. To help prevent the spread of COVID-19, I'm now shooting the show with a safe, minimal crew of my husband and the creatures of the forest. Oh, who's this? Wait, hello, little bluebird. How are you?
I'm a hallucination brought on by you isolating yourself.
Oh, okay. As surreal as it still seems, the coronavirus pandemic has changed how most of us live our lives. With millions in isolation and hundreds of thousands infected, now is the time to put aside our differences and come together. Well, not come together like these idiots.
Thousands of students who made their annual pilgrimage to Florida for spring break are having celebrations interrupted.
I think they're blowing it way out of proportion. I think it's doing way too much.
We're just living for the moment. We're just going to do what happens when it happens.
That's right. If spring breakers get corona, they're going to get corona. Oh, and they got corona. Florida, don't be like this. Even an alligator riding a lawnmower the wrong way down the interstate was like, get inside, assholes. Believe it or not, that's Florida's governor, David P. Alligator. He issued an executive order to see you later, alligator. While America's least wanted is hitting the beach, the economy is getting slammed. Local news around the country has been showing empty restaurants, bars, hotels, and stores that have either closed or seen a massive plummet in business. The National Restaurant Association said U.S. restaurants could suffer a loss of $225 billion in the next 3 months. That's 4.5 Michael Bloombergs. Put them together and that equals one normal-sized Bloomberg. And it's not just restaurants. Every part of the service industry is suffering. Here's how one New York City dry cleaner has been affected.
Our landlord still wants the rent paid, our taxes paid. Con Edison wants the utilities paid. If nothing's coming in, where am I going to get the money from to pay employees? So many of our clients are white-collar workers. They, are working remotely. And unfortunately, when you work remotely, you're not cleaning your clothes.
New Yorkers, I know you're all shitting your pants in fear right now. Send your pants to her. Save her business. Unfortunately, if your job isn't considered essential, or if you're one of the 70% of people who can't work remotely, there's a good chance you're not working at all. And if you are working remotely, there's a 50% chance you've accidentally shown your coworkers what you look like on the toilet. Even if you can go back to the office eventually, you really shouldn't. Meanwhile, concerts, conventions, and music festivals have all been delayed or canceled, leaving thousands of artists, performers, technicians, cleaning staff, vendors, and more without the seasonal income they depend on for the rest of the year. I mean, thank God Lilith Fair doesn't exist anymore. I don't think my heart could take it. I mean, I didn't just go. I was Lilith Fair. The fact is, pretty much every industry that employs the working class is collapsing, except, I guess, pornography and beans, which is why I've just released my own line of bean-themed pornography. It's gross. The catch-22 is that if you're not out of work, there's a good chance you're being pressured to keep working in dangerous conditions. Last week, Amazon discovered a case of coronavirus at a New York warehouse, and while they're being generous enough to offer a whole extra $2 an hour for working during a plague, they'll only give workers paid time off if they're under mandated quarantine or if they test positive. I don't know if you've heard, but those tests are kind of hard to come by right now. You have to be like 25% famous to get tested. It's the new getting verified on Twitter. And if you do test positive and you're one of the more than 27 million Americans without health insurance, you could be on the hook for treatment costing up to $100,000. And I don't mean the good $100,000.
Ugh. Now this is why women shouldn't try comedy.
Damn it. I miss the 30 to 50-year-old white women who used to come to my show. Even when companies such as McDonald's say they're offering employees paid sick leave during the crisis, I mean, they kind of aren't.
I've worked at McDonald's for over 10 years. There are 500,000 McDonald's workers just like me that have to go to work whether sick or well because we have no paid sick leave.
Last week, McDonald's did roll out a coronavirus plan stating that anybody that's quarantined will be paid. But you guys, don't be fooled. That's only for corporate-owned McDonald's. But 95% of McDonald's are franchise stores, including my store. So that does not benefit us whatsoever.
95% of stores won't have paid sick leave if their employees get the coronavirus. So I'd like to congratulate Trump's new Secretary of Labor, Mayor McCheese. Also, R.I.P. Trump ate 'em. And now that schools are closing, working class parents have it even harder. Nearly 55 million students have been affected by closures, and some areas are considering keeping schools closed through the summer. This means parents with zero teaching experience now have to homeschool, even as Disney implements its emergency plan to inject Frozen 2 directly into their kids' veins. For some parents, school closures mean having to choose between keeping their jobs so they can feed their kids or quitting their jobs so they can stay home to take care of them. I guess there's a third option, making every day Bring Your Kid to Work Day. It's important to remember not every family can afford remote learning, and many low-income households with school-aged children don't have broadband internet access. That's a lot of kids going without education and Animal Crossing. Both are probably that asshole Tom Nook's fault. It's also worth mentioning that everything I've talked about tonight disproportionately impacts people of color, because of course it does. Thanks, systemic racism. A lot of people have lost their income, but on a personal level, there are things you can do to help out. Buy gift cards to local businesses and restaurants, and if you do order delivery, tip more than usual. Tip them, as Mark Twain once said, like everybody is watching. But more than that, we need large-scale government intervention. As of this taping, Congress is debating a $2 trillion stimulus package. Democrats have fought hard against original versions of the bill, which failed to include enough aid for unemployed Americans, but did include a $500 billion slush fund that Trump had clearly hoped would help cruise ship and hotel companies. The only ship that should be helped right now is that scary-ass hospital boat. It's called the USNS Comfort, yet there is nothing comforting about it. Listen, I'm glad they're using it, but please don't make me go on that boat. Look at it. That boat is 100% haunted now. On the bright side, people are optimistic the new package will both pass and include direct cash payments to individuals. It's a way to help Americans while also giving Andrew Yang a fire hydrant level wet dream. Shh, don't wake him. He's stuck to the bed. Look. This is a scary as shit time. Hospitals are already overwhelmed, but the president is signaling it'll be safe to reopen businesses in weeks, not months. I guess he doesn't want to miss spending spring break with, let's be honest, probably the next governor of Florida. Every decision the president makes puts us in more danger than the one before. We are going to lose people we love, and we won't even be able to have funerals to mourn them. And he is responsible. We would be much better off if he just hid in his house and did nothing like we are all being asked to do. Instead, now we have all become Dr. Fauci at that press conference. He was so mad he touched his face. We need the government to stop bailing out big businesses and start bailing out the Americans who need it. And we need to stop treating the working class like their lives matter less than CEOs. In short, we need to start treating people like people. Well, not every people.